Minister, I'm going to jump right in my questions because you've had a month to answer these questions. But you said in your opening statement, I'm going to quote you, "This is the way that the investigative and national security system should work." Your government issued a visa to somebody who was allegedly in a 2015 ISIS propaganda video, who then planned a mass casualty event outside of Toronto with a target in our city, in our country's largest city. The RCMP foiled that plot with intelligence from the French. Are you really telling Canadians that that's how our system should work? He's been here for 6 years.
Mr. Chair, what I'm saying to Canadians is that the moment the government of Canada became aware of concerning information regarding this individual, all of the appropriate steps were put in place by CSIS and the RCMP, which culminated in the arrest on the 28th of July. And thank God, as Ms. Lantsman said, the potential serious risk or violence was averted. With respect to the information regarding the immigration processing, the Immigration Department will be here later and are in a position to speak to the specific steps that an applicant, whether for asylum or permanent residency, and we're looking at the security check system.
Yes, Minister, by my count, there's about 6 security checks in the documents that you dumped on this committee 50 minutes before it started. Do you really think that the system is working if somebody like this, who's an alleged ISIS terrorist, who, if he was even a little bit more productive, would have resulted in mass casualties in Toronto? Do you really think that that's how the system should work? Do you really think that this is not a colossal failure of your government?
I am very proud of the work that the RCMP and CSIS did in thwarting this particular case. I think, as Mr. Gallivan indicated, if you look at the tens and hundreds of thousands of these cases that are reviewed every year as people seek asylum, submit asylum claims, or apply for various visas, we necessarily rely on the work of our security agencies. We're always looking at ways to strengthen and evolve that posture as the threat context, as Ms. Lloyd said, evolves. But in this case, I am satisfied that when the Government of Canada was aware or could possibly have been aware of this information, all of the steps were taken.
They were aware 6 years ago when he came in. And speaking of that, we heard speculation,
Ms. Lantsman,
though.
It's her time.
You can't assert something like that if you're...
He's been here for 6 years.
Time.
It's just a known fact from your own documents.
But you said to assert that people were aware of some information that came to light recently 6 years ago is wrong.
There is speculation that he was brought in under the Syrian refugee program. Is this correct, yes or no?
I'm not sure I can speculate on the particular immigration status and program, and I'm not sure what part of that might be subject to the criminal trial, but you could certainly ask the Immigration Department that question.
Do you believe that if he was brought under this, if he was brought in through this stream, the government promised increased screening on asylum seekers in this country? Do you believe that after everything we know today, that your government is doing its job on that?
But again, I don't want to give credence to the premise that you ask because I don't have that information. So I want to be very precise that you don't link his arrival to a particular immigration program. The Immigration Department, I think, can provide you with those facts. I don't have them, but I don't want, in answering your question, to appear to confirm that because I don't have that information. I am satisfied that both the security services and the RCMP with the Immigration Department have in place a series of rigorous screening and background checks that take place. You heard Ted talk about biometric screening, 6 different databases. We heard the interim director of CSIS talk about 300 agreements, 150 different countries. We have access to a great amount of information to keep Canadians safe, and we need to make sure that that information is used in the most expeditious way possible.
This person was brought into Canada 6 years before a terrorist plot was foiled, just days before they would have killed people in Toronto. And you're telling Canadians that you're satisfied with the screening processes in place.
As I said in my opening comments, this person and the nature of the allegations which ultimately led to the investigation and arrest came to our attention in June, and this person from that point on was obviously under the appropriate surveillance to ensure that any threat was mitigated.
Buddy, go have
and led
another
to
drink.
the ultimate arrest
Go
on the
back to the
28th
bar.
of July.
How can
Thank you,
you
Ms. Lantsman.